Welcome to SportsZone. Joslyn Mitchell here, live at the North Texas studios, as always with great topics to cover, from the 2017 NBA top prospects to the first annual Mean Green Scrappies Athletic Awards. And also, you know the drill, our Mean Green drill, that is. But first, we're finna start talking about some Mean Green basketball. It has been 1 week since the signing basketball period began, and our new head coach, Coach McCaslin, has some new players on the team. To help me, I have Kennedy Miller, and I have Connor Bean. How are you guys doing today?
Thing today. All right, then.
Okay, first we're going to start. We got some new players on the team. I know we got a 6'10 Russian, Mark. You know how to pronounce the name, Mark T. And then we also have a 6'8 Nigerian, and we have some two other people, Mo Gibson and Mike Miller, as well as a bunch of other ones. So go ahead and let me know how you guys feel about them.
Well, if we're going to abbreviate his name, I really like Mark T the best out of this recruiting class. He's 6'10", he can kind of shoot it. His dad was a former player on the Russian team back in 1988, and so you always like when you have a player's son, because their basketball intellect seems to be raised a little bit higher than regular basketball players because of the environment they grew up around. And I'm sure that Mark T knows how to play the game of basketball. And at the size of 6'10", you can do a lot of things with 6'10", because size doesn't grow on trees.
We definitely
height doesn't grow on trees, and so when you have that type of size, well, you can say, well, we can put him on the perimeter if he can shoot it. He can play down low. He can become a shot blocker, or maybe if he's good enough, he can do all three of those things and really be a good contributor to this North Texas basketball team.
Always good to have another big body out there. My favorite personally is probably Umanja Gibson, the 6-foot guard out of University High in Waco, averaged 22 points and 11 assists. That is crazy numbers. You know, he won Player of the Year in Waco, and he was actually number 27 ranked recruit in Texas. So I was very surprised we got him. I'm surprised he didn't get any bigger offers for bigger schools. So I think it's great for the future of this program, especially, you know, when Ryan and AJ, you know, they start get ready to go and do graduate and stuff like that. So I think we have that depth at the point guard position. I think it's going to be very important, especially if we start getting into conference tournaments and conference play, you know, maybe even farther.
Now, every good thing always has a bad thing. We got a lot of good transfers. We got some good people coming in. You talked about Mo. You talked about the 6'10". What about the people that are transferring? I know we already found out about Jeremy Combs, but we just found out Ricky Bryce is leaving and Jermichael Brown. Now, Ricky Bryce, he's our first 7-footer since '94. How do you feel about that? Because that's big size that we're giving up, and you just said size don't grow on trees.
Well, it's not surprising. Whenever you bring in a new coach, you always expect to have some transfers. Jeremy Combs is a senior. He was the guy at North Texas, and so you would expect him to go somewhere where winning is a top priority, whereas North Texas, we're in a rebuilding mode now. And so you expect him to transfer somewhere where he can get a shot at the NCAA tournament, see how postseason experience feels. Ricky Bryce and Jermichael Brown are extremely close friends, and you had to expect that if one were to leave, then the other would follow suit. I'm not surprised by it, and I'm not upset by any of this, because an article came out that schools usually get 2 or 3 transfers a year leaving their program, which is normal. Now, you wouldn't want North Texas to be like the Memphis program, who's lost 6 guys already before this upcoming year, including 2 of their best scorers. And so we're in a good position now where we had some guys that filled into those spots already. You mentioned it, A.J. Lawson, Ryan Woolridge. They can kind of help on those guard positions. We're bringing in Mark T, and so he can kind of help out in those Ricky Bryce minutes where Ricky Bryce couldn't stay on the floor because of, you know, weight issues, or he couldn't play in a smaller system with smaller guards and forwards. So I think we're perfectly fine.
You know, I thought he was going to have a good year last year. I know he lost a ton of weight, bulked up a lot, but he only averaged 5'4", and he's 7 foot. It doesn't make any sense to me how someone 7 foot can average 5'4". I don't know, maybe he's a little soft on the inside. I'm not sure. We need someone that can just bang the boards and everything like that. And Jermichael Brown, you know, I'm not really sure why he left, but I kind of feel like, you know, Ryan Woolridge kind of stepped up, took his spot, and he probably was like, well, I guess I'm not going to play here anymore. I got A.J. Lawson and Ryan Woolridge in front of me now, so I might as well get up out of here. So it's really unfortunate. Like I said, I'm not hurt by it. You know, I think we're going to get better as time comes. We'll probably get another 7-footer in here at least 6'11" at least. So.
Yeah. That's really great topics. Y'all did an amazing job. First, before we go, I want to say, do you think it's a good or bad thing? Good or bad? Yes or no?
Oh, I'm perfectly fine.
Okay, you?
No, I'm cool.
Okay,
cool.
perfect.
To the future of Mean Green basketball.
That's great. Stick around. We're talking NBA prospects after the break. NCAA season is finished. North Carolina has won, and it is now time for the next Real Talk NBA draft. Several college stars have declared that they are going to the NBA, and to help me talk about their top 10, I have Ronald Ephraim and Josh Conrad. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Great, yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, now first, whoever wants to go first, I want you to tell me your top 10 all the way 10 to number 1.
All right. Well, for me, number 10, I have Justin Jackson, the forward out of North Carolina. I think he's a great player. Some people actually have him a little lower than 10, simply because he kind of lacks the athletic ability that some of the players have towards the top of the board. However, his IQ is so high that I feel he deserves to be in that top 10. At number 9, I have Lauri Markkanen, the forward out of Arizona. He's a great big. He's probably the most pro-ready big coming out into the draft. Very physical, great IQ, very serviceable shooting ability. So I think he's good at that. At number 8, I got De'Aaron Fox, the point guard out of Kentucky. Great playmaker, a high IQ, great vision.
Yeah.
He makes the rest of his team better. At number 7, I got Malik Monk, his guard right next to him, the shooting guard out of Kentucky as well. He's an elite shooter. Once he gets into his zone, nobody can stop him one-on-one. Nobody can. Once he's in that zone, it's a wrap. At number 6, I got the forward Jonathan Isaac out of Florida State. He's a great scorer. He also great effort on defense as well. Very rangy, spaces the floor very well. He does a great job of using his strengths against other players' weaknesses. Yeah. At number 5, I have the guard Dennis Smith Jr. out of North Carolina State. 6'2", 195 shooter, scorer, really good at getting to the rim. Very strong, very good off the dribble. So I think he'll be a great fit for whatever team decides to pick him up. At number 4, I have Jason Tatum, the forward out of Duke. He's a really great scorer. He's big, strong, versatile. He knows how to use his size and his speed against his matchup. So he's very smart as well. At number 3, I have another forward, which I think is the best forward coming into the draft, Josh Jackson out of Kansas. He's very versatile, very rangy, high IQ. He can definitely lead a team. He reminds me of a Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler type player. Number 2, I got Lonzo Ball, of course, out of UCLA, 6'6", 190 guard out of UCLA. Yeah. Great scorer. I wouldn't say he's a great scorer, but he's a great playmaker. He makes the rest of his team good scorers. He has great vision. He got his dad on the sideline doing what he's doing. And at number 1, I have Markelle Fultz, out of the point guard out of Washington. I think he's very athletic, very smart, great scorer off the dribble. I think whatever team picks him up, probably be the Celtics, as they have the number 1 pick. I think he'll be a great fit for them.
I think he's going to be in everyone's top 2.
Sure.
Lonzo Ball, for sure.
For sure.
What is yours?
All right. There's one name you didn't mention who is the steal of the draft. It's Jared Allen, the center out of Texas. No one is talking about this guy. I was telling people before the show, Jared Allen. Everyone's like, dude, you're kidding. You're not going to say this on air. I'm saying it on air. Jared Allen is the steal of the draft. This is a guy who struggled a lot early in the season. No one talks about him because Texas was terrible this year. They were awful. They were under the radar. Big 12 play, Big 12 great conference, went up against Kansas, West Virginia, Baylor. He averaged 16.2 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 1.7 blocks a game. Not to mention how many posters he had this season, blocking everybody. Had the huge block against Baylor, had so many highlight dunks. And it's just no one talks about this guy because he's losing. Well, Markelle Fultz went 9-22 at Washington. Why can't Jared Allen get more love?
Yeah.
And here's the thing about the top of the draft. Boston, we're talking about a point guard. They have Isaiah Thomas. They have Marcus Smart. They have Avery Bradley. They have just so many guards. We look at the Lakers. They have D'Angelo Russell. Why do you need Lonzo Ball? I mean, you have a superstar point guard in Russell. If I'm the Lakers, I'm going to go bold here. I'm going to go Jared Allen at number 3 right now. Because think about it. You're in the Pacific Division. You've got the Clippers. You got Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. Yeah. You could use a big man there. That'd be huge for them. And even with the Warriors, I mean, if you have a guy down low you can go to, Allen's a guy that he can score down low. He's elusive. He's just a playmaker. I think Jared Allen is the steal of this draft for me. Y'all are looking at me like I'm kind of crazy up here, but we'll see.
And also, I read on an article that people actually prefer for the Lonzo Ball to go to the Celtics than the Lakers. But hey, It is to each his own. But there's another question. There's a big problem. I know Kentucky has it real bad with their one-and-done players. A lot of these players, majority of those people are freshmen.
Yeah.
Lonzo Ball, freshman. De'Aaron Fox, a freshman. A lot of them are freshmen. Do you think that that's okay to only play for 1 year, or do you think that the argument that's been going on about extending it for 2 years, do you think that's going to actually come through?
Extending it for 2 years, I don't think it'll happen just because the players, they feel like they're ready. But I don't personally think that they are ready. For example, a player like Bam Adebayo, the big man out of Kentucky, or you also have Malik Monk, the guard out of Kentucky. They're both great players, but at the same time, I don't feel like they're technically ready for the NBA game. I feel like they don't have their technicalities down yet. I feel like the only reason that they're in the talks of being in top 10 draft picks is because of their athletic ability. It's amazing.
I hate it. I hate how it's gone. I think it should be just like college baseball. You should be forced to stay 3 years, or you should just go pro out of high school. If there is that generational talent like a LeBron James or like a Dwight Howard or something like that, let them go to the pros. But I can tell you right now, 1 through 10, none of these guys are ready for NBA basketball right now.
That's good.
All of them are going to be work in progress. I don't think anyone that goes to any of these teams, besides whoever goes to Boston, is going to be in the playoffs next year. It's diluted the college game. It's starting to dilute the NBA game. You just see so many bad teams right now in the NBA, and it's because we're letting these freshmen into the NBA.
I think that's real good. Y'all made some very, very, very great points. Our Mean Green Athletics Awards is coming up right after the break. Scrappy the Eagle has granted us with our first annual Mean Green Athletics Awards called Scrappies. This was created to honor the best team as well as the best individual performances of the year. And to explain who they think should get the trophies, I have Kyle Yeomans and Dominic Walker. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Doing
Ready
great?
to talk some Mean Green sports.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. Okay, so now we're gonna start off with our male newcomer. You wanna start?
I will. I'll say for a male newcomer, the person who I would give the award to would be A.J. Lawson for the basketball team. The reason I would say A.J. Lawson is because he made such an impact as a freshman this year. He led the team in scoring with over 11 points per game and was the 3-time Conference USA Freshman of the Week. He also is listed in the CUSA All-Freshman team for this year, and he's a person that makes sure he gives his all for the team. With 30, played in all 30 games and started in 19.
That's cool.
You know, I completely agree that A.J. Lawson made an immediate impact for this team, and along with Ryan Woolridge and the other candidates for the male newcomer of the year. But I have to give it to Mason Fine. Mason Fine came in as a freshman out of Locust Grove, Oklahoma. Who knew where that was before he came in and started playing Mean Green football?
Good point.
Came in undersized, really underrated. Came in and made it kind of turned around Seth Luttrell's first season. They lost to SMU. You weren't looking very good against Bethune-Cookman whenever he first started, and then really it turned it around, gave a little bit of confidence, a little bit of swagger to North Texas. His biggest win against Army is one of the nominations for the team in performance of the year. I think it's Mason Fine. Didn't put up just incredible video game type numbers, but he was a winner. He was a leader as a freshman coming in, solidifying the quarterback position and playing well. And that's something that North Texas hasn't seen since Derek Thompson was on campus for North Texas, a quarterback who was fundamentally sound and able to help yourself not necessarily win games, but get close and be in the game at the end.
I like how you guys are using, because you and then Josh are using the behind the scene players, because I mean everybody's expecting the A.J. Lawson, but I think that's really cool. Now we're going to start with our female. Who do you guys have for the female newcomer?
All right, well, I'm gonna stay with the in front of the camera person this time too, and stick with basketball. I'm gonna say my pick for female would be Terriel Bradley. She's the transfer out of Kansas, the redshirt sophomore, and she led in scoring for the Mean Green, and with her height, she was also second in rebounding, which I think shows her athleticism and shows her want to do great for the team. She's scored over 20 points 3 times this season, which is something that is a big feat, especially in women's basketball, and she did it multiple times. And with her averaging over 13 points per game in conference play. It shows that her drive, especially in conference games, is a lot higher than most athletes. But she didn't fault when it came to regular season play and non-conference play. She averaged over 12 points per game, so I feel like that's why she qualifies.
Yeah, Bradley was outstanding. From the three-point line, she was a threat every time she touched the ball. But I'm going to stick along the behind the scenes, guys. I'm going to keep this trend going. Emma Aiken coming in, the volleyball standout. She was an outside hitter. The biggest reason why I'm choosing Aiken, she came in as a freshman and replaced Carney Dillard, arguably, and I would say, the most decorated and the best player in Mean Green volleyball history, and replaced that hole in this entire roster for North Texas and provided some solid play. And also it gives a foundation for Coach Andrew Paleo to go into the next 4 years with a game plan of building around Aiken and making sure that those players can really gel together and have some kind of success in the Conference USA.
That's good. I think that's good. Now we're going to do individual performances. Who do you guys think is the best as far as that?
For individual, I have Brianna Eccles for the track and field team. She placed first in this USA Indoor Championship in the long jump with 5.95 meters, which was a personal and career best for her. It shows that she's able to, on a big stage, push her boundaries, and she did good in a time where the team as a whole didn't do good. So that's why I put her as a personal best.
Now, I'm going to combine a couple of mine here. So there's two more categories that we're covering. We're covering individual performance and team performance. I'm going to combine the two. My individual performance, can't talk, Stacey Underwood against Baylor down in Waco, against the number, at the time, 23 team in the country. Right now, Baylor's number 10 in the ESPN poll. She went down there, had a complete game, gave up 2 runs, only one of them being earned. She had 7 hits that were scattered all around. She had 3 strikeouts, only walked 1. And the biggest thing to me is she kept her pitch count low, had only 98 pitches on the afternoon, held a solid top 10 Baylor team to 2 runs throughout the entire game and helped win that game 3-2 in extra innings. And that's going to lead me into the team performance. The fact that North Texas had a major sport, and I guess some can argue that softball's not necessarily a major sport, but it has the television ratings outside of the Conference USA and the mid-majors. But to be able to go on the road and beat a team that not only was ranked but is still ranked, that's the only team in the major side of things that North Texas has won against a ranked team this entire season. I don't think you can go anywhere else than softball beating Baylor at Getterman Stadium in Waco.
All right, well, I'm gonna finish off coming back to a point you made earlier, and going on the road when when the UNT football team went to New York and played Army. That's gonna be my team performance. It was a game that most people didn't even expect UNT to win, but they blew out Army 35-18 and made big strides defensively with 7 takeaways, and like you said earlier, made a good drive for Mason Fine to be recognized as a quarterback. And I feel like that type of performance on a high stage at an away stadium is what makes that a memorable performance for the Mean Green.
For sure.
I think that's good. Now, as far as the Scrappies Awards period, I think this is a good way as for the student body to get involved, attend the meetings, attend the games and stuff like this, because they have to see the players to vote, right? They can't just randomly vote for names. Do you look at this as something that's going to continue going on, or do you think that this is something that's just going to be for like maybe 1 or 2 years?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The way that Ren Baker is kind of coming into things and shaking it up a little bit, putting a little bit of extra, I guess, mustard behind the way that he does things with the North Texas Mean Green. He wants it to be flashy. He wants it to be student-oriented and really getting the entire city involved and being able to have a sports kind of SB-like show is really fun, especially when the fans get to vote themselves.
Cool.
I feel like this is a good way, how you said that the students have to pay attention to the sports. I feel like this is a way for students to come to the sports and actually evaluate the team as a whole and players as a whole. So I'm hoping that this goes on, and it will help me continue being a fan for the Mean Green in years to come.
I think that was wonderful. And hopefully this Scrappies continues to go. And don't touch that remote. Our Mean Green drill is coming up next. It is now time for our Mean Green drill, and to help me break down these Mean Green sports, I have Peyton Russell and Brady Pointer. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Doing great. Good.
All right, our first sport we're going to talk about is volleyball. We have some new faces that just came up, and apparently they have graduated and early and then came here straight out of high school. So tell me what you guys think about that.
Well, it's Valerie and Barber. First off, I really like the idea that they graduated high school early. You see that a lot nowadays, kind of in the previous years. Yeah. Student athletes graduating high school earlier to play with their team a semester early. It gives them that more experience because these girls are playing against top teams. I believe they play SMU, Texas, Oklahoma, schools like that. It gets them ready for the fall. I really like it. They're both 6'1". They're going to be outside hitters. It gives them that size on that front row.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that these are outside hitters, which is something like we had Emma Aiken, we had Amanda Chamberlain, girls that were, I mean, they really couldn't replace what we had lost in Carnay Dillard, which no one will be able to, probably in the history of volleyball at this school. She was just named Swedish Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And so bringing these girls in to give this team that offensive spark that they sometimes lacked last season is going to be very key. And the fact that they're here early, and Barbara Tiekle, she played under Vin Nugian with the North Texas's club squad, so she already has that experience with the coach that's already here, that chemistry, and it'll be nice to see what these girls are actually able to do once the season actually rolls around, and how they're going to transition into be playing Division I volleyball.
Yeah, with these freshmen coming in, I think it's really going to be a big part of the team building around these players, building around these young athletes, because I mean that's really where it starts. If you can start playing like this, like I said, the experience factor. If you can play like that your freshman, sophomore year, it builds you up for your upperclassmen years, junior, senior year. So I like it. You talked about how Brady. You talked about how they were good offensively. I think they can actually help defensively as well, getting a good block on spikes and stuff. So we'll see what happens.
Now, how you guys think that this spring season is finna come? They came right in time. It gives them a chance to warm up. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's just, I mean, all of it is like they're playing tough competition. All of it's just getting that experience, building that team chemistry for the fall. And the fact that they're already here, they're already working out, they're already participating in practices. It's only going to, you would only expect in theory that's only going to help them once the season actually rolls around, come for the fall.
It betters them for the fall.
Yeah, definitely. That's what the theory is. So that's why they're there.
Now we're going to switch gears and move on to tennis. They also have some new players. Now we know tennis is known for foreigners. We have someone coming in from India and we have someone coming in from Denmark. How do you think that's going to play? They're both decorated. They have decorated backgrounds. What do you think that's going to do for us?
I mean, obviously it's only going to make this team better. This is already a young team. There's only one senior on the team in Alexis Toma. Yeah. So everybody else is sophomores and freshmen, and Maria Kononova, the best player on this team, is a sophomore. So it's going to provide a bit of internal competition. These girls coming in, they're decorated in their own respective countries, in Denmark and India. So they're coming in and they're going to want to compete right out of the gate, and that's going to provide a little internal competition. And I think only just serves that the future of the tennis program at North Texas is very, very bright under Sujay Lama.
Yeah, you're right about that, Brady. I mean, it really betters them for the future. Like you said, this is a young team. This is a team that, wasn't expected to do as well as they can. They've had a lot of great matches during the season. They've fallen short.
A lot of tough competition.
Yeah, they have.
Definitely.
They're playing Big Ten schools, Big 12 schools, stuff like that. But it betters them for the future. And you see, you touched on it, how a lot of foreigners come in and stuff. But you see that around the D1 level a lot. A lot of schools in Division I gather the foreigners, go and recruit them, and the success has been there.
It's because it's just what they do. They focus on one sport and they go to these academies overseas. Here in America, there's so many different sports for men and women that they're usually playing like 3 or 4. Overseas, they usually pick one, they stick with it, they go to academies. That's all they do. They eat, breathe, sleep tennis. It's everything they think about.
Yeah,
so
you see
it's easy
golf
to grab
too,
them.
Soccer, a lot of that. A lot of those other countries.
It's easy to grab them from overseas because that's all they do. It's all they focus on is that one sport.
Now we're going to switch again. We're going to go to track and field. They have 3 different track meets in 3 different locations, and they're splitting them up. How do you think that's going to work? Do you think that's a good idea to split us up?
I like it. I mean, it betters them for the Conference USA tournament at the end of the season. But what the biggest takeaway I had from these events were a lot of the athletes, they broke their personal records. You had records being broke. You had 5 or 6 athletes break their record. You had one that stood out, a young athlete, sophomore Susanna Lynch, broke the school record in the 5,000 meter with a time of 16:56.46. The previous record was set back in 2004. So I really like that.
Yeah, it gives everybody the chance to get some work in before conference. They're all split up. They're not all going to one place. They were down here in Austin. The other 2 were in California. So it's good to give everyone a little bit of work. The throwers got work in Texas. You know, there were some sprinters there. And all the long distance people were at Mount Sac in California. They got their work in there. So everybody's getting work in. And I think this is a good idea to let everyone, you know, get some work in.
I think that's very great points. All y'all did a very great job. Thank you so much. The softball team takes on Abilene Christian University tonight at 6 p.m. Central, and tennis will be hosting their Conference USA Championship this Thursday until Sunday. We wish them all the best of luck. And that concludes this week's episode of SportsZone. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media handles at NT SportsZone. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you same place, same time next week.